Hello and welcome to another edition of Menopause Made Easy with Tanya. Today we are diving into a book that radically changed my life and how I see health, aging, and healing. And I cannot believe I haven't talked about this book. Actually, I know I've talked about this book, but not done a special episode that it deserves. And I also talk about his book in my book, Cookie Dough in the Dark. What am I talking about? I'm talking about The Biology of Belief. Here it is by Bruce Lipton, Dr. Bruce Lipton. Oh my gosh, I have had this book for so long. I love it. I love listening to him. I love listening to his wisdom. And today I'm going to share with you things that I talk about and just the root level. All right. What we think about, we bring about. And I started diving into this in my 20s, my early 20s, reading about thoughts and consciousness and subconscious levels. And I have always been aware, maybe not as aware as I am now, but of my thoughts. So let's dive in. And if you have ever thought, I'm just getting older, this is what happens. I am in menopause. This is what happens. Stop right there. What if your thoughts, not your genes, are what shape your reality? If you've heard me and read my book, listened to me, worked with me, you know that you are not your genes. There is something called epigenetics. We'll dive into that. So, again, it is a belief system and it's not based on feelings, it's based on facts, but there's a lot of outdated information that people want you to believe it's all about your genes. It is not. All right, so Dr. Bruce Lipton is a cellular biologist and epigenetics pioneer, and he shares exactly how your beliefs control your biology, not the other way around. And today we're going to talk about that. I'm going to spend the month of October, I think, working on our mindset because we had the energy of September come in, and maybe you started a new program, maybe you joined me in my midlife reboot and October starts to hit, and we lose some of that momentum. We lose, unless you have accountability and support inside my program. But for a lot of us, we lose that spark. We kind of fall back into our old routines. And then we're like, well, you know what? I'll just wait till January. No, 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 let's not have that mentality. All right. We want to take these steps to just not start waiting until Monday or waiting until a certain month. Just do it now. We're going to talk about today why you are not a victim of your genes, how powerful your subconscious is, and how even in your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, you can reprogram your subconscious and shift your health, your happiness, and your future. So let's dive in because Dr. Bruce Lipton is a busy man. He's not going to be a guest on my little podcast, but I'm going to bring him to you because he is truly an inspirational and funny, quirky man, and I just love him. All right, so what is biology of belief? So Dr. Bruce Lipton spent years, probably decades, studying cells underneath a microscope, and what he discovered shocked the scientific community. It wasn't the DNA inside the cell that determined its fate. It was the environment around it. And you can look up twin studies where they have the same genes, but you put them in different environments and they are different. So you could go and look up all sorts of studies to, help you shift your belief if you need to. He writes in his book, genes are blueprints, but the contractor, the one reading those blueprints, are deciding how to build. Okay. And that is your perception, your beliefs, and your thoughts. And this means you are not a victim of your genes. I'm going to talk about victim next week or one of these weeks with Dr. Wayne Dyer, who is another person that shaped my life. Right? So you are not a victim of your genes. You are a co-creator of your reality, right down to your biology. just take a nice breath in for a minute and realize the power you have with your thoughts. And, from day one of this podcast, I have said to really watch yourself like a movie. Get to know your thoughts. Your thoughts are controlling a lot. I would say most of the things you do. Okay, so we're going to talk about the subconscious mind here. And I love this saying. I've heard it, over and over and over again, but Dr. Lipton also says this, but by the age of 7, our subconscious mind, the part that runs 95% of our behavior, has already been programmed. And this makes me go, oh my gosh, I wish I could give birth again, because I would absolutely have some different messaging to my ability, because it's not just me, but on my children. So let's pause here for a second. Let's really let that sink in. And you may have heard that quote, give me a child until he is 7 and I will show you the human, right? Give me a child until they are 7 and I will show you the human. And this is why I don't want to go off on a tangent, but why I really believe in being around your children as much as possible and not outsourcing them. And I'll let you decide what you want to do. Okay, so in his book, Dr. Lipton explains that this is more of a saying. It's not. This is more than a saying, right? It's scientific. And for the first 7 years of your life, our brains are in a theta brainwave state, which is hypnotic, receptive, and absorbs information without a filter. So I did a great episode with, oh my God, a hypnotherapist, a couple of them actually on my podcast. So I would go look those up. And then I also looked it up, and there's episode number 51, episode number 33, where we talk about conscious. And then I'm just going to put hypnotherapy or hip in here and see if I can give you those episodes with the 2 ladies I spoke with. Oh, number 83, self-hypnosis with Rebecca O'Rourke. So again, they're explaining how we can self-hypnotize ourselves. So we'll get into a little bit more, but those are some references that you can use. All right. So we have been programmed before the age of 7 in this theta brainwave state. Oh, and let me just stop right there. This is why I love my Vibe device. I love my Vibe device because there is a program on there called Brainwave Theta. And I think of my Vibe device from Resona Health as my energetic health team. Okay, and it's this little advice. It's non-invasive. It's frequency-based wellness support to help balance your body, reduce inflammation, support better sleep, ease hormonal fluctuations, and boost your mood naturally. And I have been using it for about, I would say, 2 years now, and I can honestly say that this is next level self-care. And if you use the code Vibrant150 at checkout, you will save $150. So you go to Resona, RESONA.health/vibrant/living. And that is in the show notes under my favorite products. So go on there and use it. I actually used it last night. I used the theta brain wave when I am going to bed, and then I'll run the sleep program. I run programs at various times of the day. So that is just a tool that you could use as your energetic health team. All right. Okay. So back to this theta brainwave state, which is hypnotic. We're receptive and we absorb information without a filter. We don't choose these early beliefs. Okay, we don't choose the early beliefs. We inherit them from our surroundings, from our parents, society, media, religion. We are a sponge soaking this in. Okay, and then we get into adulthood and we have beliefs like, I am not good enough. I am not enough. I have to work hard to be loved. Aging means decline. This is why it's really important to check in and see what media you are watching and listening to. And it's why I have not listened to the news in over 30 years. It could be even longer now, because I'm getting older and I don't keep expanding it. But it was in my, it could be 40 years now. Let's go with 35. 35 years. I have not watched the news. I have not listened to the news on the radio. I live in my own little bubble and I love it. Okay, media, you really have to pay attention to what you are absorbing. Now, of course, I see stuff on social media, I see stuff like this, but I have to stand back and I've really, which I'm going to dive into in another podcast episode, but I have really reduced because I can't handle it, the amount of negativity. And so I live in a world of hope and love and little bubbles. And this keeps me grounded and focused and high vibrational. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay. And I like to question what the narrative is. And aging does not mean decline, but there's a lot of messages out there. Getting old doesn't mean that have to lose function. All of these things are just been inundated in your mind. Oh, and I did a great interview with oh, I'm going to look it up. Alcohol, what's her name? And we were talking about tell a lie vision, right? And I just loved how I'm having brain farts. 149, your blueprint to an alcohol life with Gina. So you can listen to that. And we go a little crazy and one part, actually not crazy, like things I like to go on. Anyway, let's get back. Let's get back. I'm going on too many tangents. Okay, so these beliefs, I'm not good enough, I'm aging, so my life is declining, blah, 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 blah. These beliefs run on autopilot decades later, controlling our decisions, our habits, our reactions, and even our health income or outcomes, even our health outcomes. And so, how do we rewire this subconscious in midlife if it's been programmed the first 7 years of your life? And you can't think your way. You can't think your way. That's a conscious level. Okay. You have to come into the subconscious, which is why I like my Vibe device running the Theta program. Okay, but you're not stuck. You're not stuck. Even in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, you can rewire your subconscious. And Dr. Lipton outlines three main ways to reprogram your beliefs. One is, which we've already talked about, is hypnosis and theta brainwave states. And these are the states your brain actually enters as you fall asleep and as you wake up. And these are the windows: falling asleep, waking up. This is why I run that program as I'm falling asleep. And you can run that program. You could put on some positive affirmations, listening to them, self-hypnosis tracks before you go to bed. You can try a guided meditation while you're drifting off or when you're first waking up in the morning. And this is when your subconscious is most open to change. Powerful. Are we using those? I have to say, I use my Vibe device. I'm not liking things in my ears lately. So it would have to be out loud, which my husband's not a fan of when we're trying to go to bed. But sometimes I will. So I'm just trying to play around with how to work this into my lifestyle. I will do it at other times, like first thing in the morning. So that's a great tip, something that is free that you can do. Okay, repetition and habituation. So your subconscious learns by repetition. So perhaps you write new beliefs on sticky notes. First of all, I think it's really important to be aware of what you're currently thinking, and maybe you're not even aware of what you're thinking. Okay, so sit back and just reflect on your thoughts. And I've even heard people say to me, I don't even like what I'm thinking. Well, if you don't like what you're thinking, let's start changing your thinking. You have the power to change your thinking. So write some new beliefs on sticky notes, say them aloud daily. Things that I say all the time are: I am strong, I am vibrant, I am healthy, I am enough, I am love, I am energy, And I say these all the time, all the time. Oh, I can just feel that circulating and vibrating in my body right now. And you pair them along with a feeling, because that's really going to help make it stick. Emotions make it stick. So when I say this, like you could have just seen me if you were watching on YouTube, you see me, I'm smiling, I'm moving my hands, my eyes got brighter, like I'm excited, I'm expanded, I am strong, ooh, I am vibrant, I am energetic, I am healthy. And it takes just as much effort to think those thoughts as I'm tired, I'm weak, this aging sucks, menopause sucks. Did you see what happened to me? How I contracted myself? I slowed down. You could tell the difference in my voice. Okay, this is why we have contracted people and expanded people. You know what I'm talking about, right? And so, really, oh, I could get off on so many different tangents here. I have a podcast episode coming up. We're going to talk about fear versus faith, which is going to be a brilliant episode. But anyway, okay, so repetition and habituation. Then we have energy psychology, things like tapping. It's also called EFT, emotional frequency technique. And these modalities combine intention with movement and emotion to bypass the critical mind and talk directly to the subconscious. Many, 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 many years ago, I did more tapping than I do now. I will still do it with people, but I also will have people say to me, it didn't work for me. And a week is sometimes not enough. A day is not enough. Think about how many times you've been repeating, I am not good enough. I can't lose this weight. Nothing out there will help me. I can't find a boyfriend, whatever it is. All of these things, you didn't just think about them for a week. They are embedded in you. And again, lots of things you don't even know are embedded in you because you're just, I mean, we're basically a lot of us just unconsciously moving throughout our day. Okay, so when you do these techniques, you have to give them a concerted effort and allow and open yourself up to the change, which can be scary. And then if you don't understand, gosh, again, I'm not going to go into it. Okay, if you've been listening to my podcast, you probably know what I'm going to say, but I want to stay on target here. So emotional freedom technique is accessible and it's effective. Okay. And you tap. So there's this whole thing where you tap on the side of your hand and you set up your statement and you say, even though I've struggled with my health, even though I've struggled with my health, whatever it is, my mental health, my physical health, my spiritual health, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And then you move to your head, your eyes, outside the eyes, under the nose, the chin, into the collarbones, underneath the armpits, and back to the top of the head. And you set up statements to say along the way. And this process is bringing forward things that you're thinking about so that you don't keep them buried. And then you start to have, oh, that felt good, this little transformation. All right. But then you have to be ready to accept the transformation, which we're going to talk about in another episode on self-image, which is crucial, a crucial piece. Remember, I said you are a puzzle and you have these little pieces that you fit in. So it's not just food, it's not just exercise, it's your thoughts, it's your beliefs, it's understanding all of these things. This is why I am a holistic health coach, because you can't squeeze a square peg in a round hole. And what I mean by that is you need to broaden your thoughts. I like to say I am teaching you nutrition, movement, and mindset. You need those three pieces, and then those three pieces contain a lot of pieces. And this isn't confusing and it's not overwhelming, especially when you take you and you figure out where you are now, where you want to go, what's the gap, what's the next simple shift. All right. And this is stuff that I do in my midlife reboot, which will open again in January. If you missed it, and if you would like to privately do some coaching with me, that's awesome. And in the meantime, if you'd like to get your Vibe device, you can do that. Just scroll down and check out my favorite products and use my code for $150 off. Why does this matter in midlife for women? Why does this matter? Okay, so in our late 40s to 50s, 60s, many of us have internalized toxic beliefs about menopause and aging and what's possible in our bodies. But what if we flip the script? What if menopause wasn't the beginning of the end, but the beginning of a new era? Exciting. This is why we call it Menopause Made Easy. This is why we are the wise women. We are stepping into such power, such wisdom, right? And we can rewire the outdated beliefs that no longer serve us. And Dr. Lipton says when we change our perception, we change the message that our nervous system sends to our cells. And in turn, we change our biology. And I just have to write nervous system in here because I did an episode that is absolutely worth listening to about nervous system. And it's episode number 145, Stop Self-Sabotage with This Nervous System. Okay, so episode number 145, and then episode number 67 is a great episode that I did with Deanna Henson regarding blocking. But I would absolutely listen to number 145 to really understand your nervous system. Okay, so when we change our perception, we change the message that our nervous system sends to ourselves, and in turn, we change our biology. How powerful is this? Okay, this is why rolling was something else that was very impactful in my life. You are not your diagnosis. You are not your mother's aging story. You are not your limitations. You are limitless. Okay, when you believe it, you have unlimited, that means, yes, you're not limiting yourself, unlimited potential. And so many people become their diagnosis, they become their pain, they become their aches. And I was there too, because I don't know if I wanted to, but I was a victim. And I'm going to do an episode on, that's the Dr. Wayne Dyer episode I'm going to do on being a victim. And I definitely spent most likely a decade to a decade and a half of being a victim because I wanted attention. And you get attention when there's typically something wrong with you. You get less attention when there's things that are right with you. And maybe that's a belief that I need to question. Okay? See when you say things sometimes, I'm like, I do believe victims get more attention. I do. Do I want to believe that if you're healthy, I'm going to ponder that one. Anyway, my conclusion for you today is if you're in midlife and you're wondering, can I really change? The answer is yes. Yes, yes, yes. You can read Bruce Lipton's book, The Biology of Belief. And his message in there reminds us you are more powerful than your genetics. Your thoughts shape your reality, your health, your finances, how you move throughout your day. Okay. And with intention, practice, and belief, you can reshape your future. And if you're curious about subconscious rewiring tools, I've created a little cheat sheet for you that I'm going to call Rewiring Beliefs in Midlife. And you can check that out. And I'll see if I come up with anything else between now and when this goes on the air. So just check the show notes below for that. And if you are on my email list, you will get all this information. And if you're not on my email list, please email me, Tanya@moveyourbody.ca. I would like this, and I will send it to you. Oh my gosh, this has been so exciting. Okay, so please, if you would share this episode with a friend, a family member who just seems stuck in a rut, that they feel powerless. They are more powerful than they believe themselves to be. Now, some people want to play the victim for their whole life. That's fine. Maybe they've had enough. Maybe they haven't. Okay. But then maybe plant this seed and they can think about things in a different way. If you could find it in your heart to leave me a review, that would be lovely. Share it with a friend, subscribe so you don't miss any of my episodes. And until next time, ladies, believe in your power. You are the medicine. Okay? Tap back into your intuition. Trust yourself. Big hugs, big hugs to you, everybody. Thank you for listening to Menopause Made Easy with Tanya, and I will see you in the next episode.